Hey, what's up? This is Fanu from Helsinki, Finland. I am an Ableton Certified trainer, a mixing and mastering engineer, and an electronic music producer. I want to show you some basics of working with Push tool and using the simpler and slicing audio, using warp modes and sequencing your beats. So let's do this. Okay, so here we go. I have 4 clips. Let's take a quick listen. So I got 4 clips. Let's solo them. It's very easy to do it like this.
Trouble set me free.
Right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'll solo the drum break here. It's by the Silhouettes called Funky First. It's been processed by me a little bit. It's being used by Pete Rock, for example, one of my big influences. There's a few things that you can do to a clip using Push. Let's see. You can set the gain. You can transpose it. And you can touch and set the start offset so clip doesn't have to start from the beginning, of course. And also you can set the loop length, so you don't have to loop the whole clip if you don't want to. That's all fairly basic stuff if you're in any way familiar with working with clips. But I want to get more I want to get more control over the drum loop. So what I can do is I hit convert, and here I get the option to convert to simpler. So here we go, and let's see what I get. I'll solo the new track, and I hit note mode, and I can play it melodically. Let's see. I can also play it polyphonically if I like. I'm not sure if that makes a whole lot of sense, but I will show to you later how it's maybe used a little bit better. I'll show that with the vocal. So in simpler here, we have 3 modes, and I will tell you what the differences are. The first one that you get is classic mode. This is, you can play it polyphonically like I just did. Easy stuff. And there are more parameters hidden when you click simpler. You see way more stuff. One thing that I really like about this is glide mode. It's off by default, but I will turn it on. Listen to this. So what happens is the audio glides to the next note that you hit. It's actually super dope. I don't even know other DAWs that you could do this. And let's see, another mode is one-shot mode. I'll turn on accent here, which means that every time I hit a note, a pad, it'll play at full velocity. So what one-shot mode does, it plays the whole sample. You only have to touch the pad once and it'll play it till the end. And this is a monophonic playing mode, so you cannot do melodies. So there's also a gate mode. Gate mode, which does not play it till the end. So You can also, let's take a really quick peek at the warping settings here. You may be familiar with warping settings, but let's take a quick look here. I'll set the play mode, the beats, and touch some of the parameters. So listen to this. So you can probably hear what's happening. This relates to the stretching of the audio. When we want to go slower than the original tempo, the software has to fill in the gaps to make it longer. And these settings here relate to the handling of that process. Essentially, this is how long the envelope of all those little particles of audio will play, or how soon it'll shut down. And looping mode also deals with the particles of audio that are created to make it longer. So alternate looping means it's looping back and forth, while forward means it loops from A to B, then jumps back to A, and then to B. And preserve is what of the audio is preserved in the process. If you choose transients, it means that the very initial attack of the drum sound is kept and the rest is processed. This is great for drums, but also you can preserve smaller pieces of audio. 1/32, 1/16, and it gets bigger. But I highly encourage everyone to experiment with this, because you can achieve pretty creative results, as you just heard. But I'll go back to Complex Pro. This is what I usually use. And let me show you my favorite mode of slice, simpler. I selected slicing mode, so what I can do now, let's see. I go back to trigger mode, so every time I hit a pad, it'll play the whole sample. So what I'm getting here is the audio was split to pads. So how did that happen? Live detects changes in audio. So simply put, every time something happens here, it creates a marker here and splits audio to pieces, and those pieces become playable by pads. You can also do the slices manually, and I will show this later. But what this is great for is step sequencing. So how does this happen? What does this do? Let's take a look at the top 4 rows. My setting here is set to 1/16, which means that each pad here corresponds to 1/16th part of a bar. And I can select the drum sound and draw, or tap its location on the rhythmic timeline. So I will select a kick here, and let's see. I'll select the snare, do the same thing. I have to remove some of the kicks. I don't need them here where the snare has to be playing. So it's very easy to remove it, just like this. I'm gonna need some hi-hats. So I can build a beat very easily. I can also play sounds in while it's I don't have to use the step sequencer, so I'll just use this kick as a ghost kick to play it in. Yes, I think I'm going a little too fast, so I'll just turn the tempo down. Super easy from the tempo knob. What I really love about this is I can go, and if I want to make this a little looser, one way would be to I hold down a pad and I get these selections here, so I can actually nudge it around. You can see it on the clip view. The MIDI note is actually moving around, so if I want to introduce a little bit of looseness, it's very easy to do here. And you can also set the velocity of the note, as you can see. This is super handy. I love it. It takes you away from the computer. So I get a very basic beat here. That's the slicing mode. Next, let's see about using the warping in Simpler in a way that makes more sense than playing a drum loop polyphonically. So I've got this vocal clip.
Trouble, oh, trouble set me free.
So what I want to do is I'll do the same thing that I did to the drum loop. So I'll hit convert and select Simpler. So what happens is the vocal will open in a new instance of Simpler. I'll delete the old track and solo the new one. So it's now in Simpler.
Trouble, trouble, trouble.
It gets a bit like sounds a bit like Chipmunk.
Trouble, trouble.
But there is definitely a way around that. Check this out. Warp mode, Complex Pro, and listen to it.
Trouble, trouble, trouble.
And this is super easy to get creative with sounds and do chords that sound pretty good to me. Let's unsolo this. Let's record a clip. Whoops, yeah, let me set the clip length to 2 bars. It's very easy to do. You go to clip view and that's it, basically. The volume of the vocal track was a little too loud, so I just go to mix mode and turn the volume down. Alright, let's also listen to the bass here. Right on. So I'll do the same thing. I'll go to clip view, hit convert to Simpler, because I want to show you guys how I can manually do the slicing points, because earlier on in my video live did it for me, but I'll show you how you can do it on your own. It's super easy. I'll solo the track for now. So I am in Simpler. I will hit slicing mode, and so I have the slices here. Live did it for me, just like with the drum loop. It detects where something happens and creates the slice points there. I want to undo that, so there's a sensitivity setting. I'll turn it down to 0. So what is this? This is basically, you could think of a there's like a threshold that the audio has to cross in order for live to create a slicing point. So I'll just hit it to turn the sensitivity to 0, and then I turn pad slicing on, which means that whenever I play a pad, another pad, when the audio is playing, it'll create a new slice marker. Check this out. And I can adjust the start points by nudge. So I think I got something useful here. Let's see. So let's unsolo this and we'll unsolo it and try to do something. It's a pretty lousy bass line if you ask me, but you're getting the point. The hits are slightly loose, as you can see on the screen, and here I could use quantize. I hit quantize and hold it, and here I get to see the selection as to how quantizing is done. So I could go for 16th note, for example, and this is how rigidly it'll happen. If you go for 100, it'll force the MIDI note to the grid exactly. So I usually use small amounts and hit quantize a few times. So I'm doing this. You see the MIDI notes are moving. So yeah, at least I got something here. Right, so that is my workflow with Push 2 and Ableton Live Simpler. There will be more, but I wanted to show you how you can slice audio easily to Simpler and then either sequence it using the step sequencer or play it in. So that's all for now. If you have any questions, just holler in the comments. Thank you.